Kia ora, good morning. Oh, so yeah, I've just been putting an investigation together for you. Again, if I take a pause, it's only because I'm having a sip of my coffee. And people are going to be like, oh, she's doing an investigation into the Van Meter visitor and the Jersey Devil and the Mothman and all of that. And then they'll come and watch my little shows and podcasts and that because obviously when I get out of here and I start making my shows, I want to go to these investigations and actually be on location and that and point it all out and show it all out for realsy. People will tune in and they'll be like, oh, she's going to finally uncover who the Mothman is and the Van Meter visitor and all of that. And then they'll tune in, they'll be like, wait, it was what? Oh. Because people they want so desperately to believe that this stuff is real. But the thing is, it's not healthy to believe that these things are real. So it's like I'm exposing the truth to help you with your psychological mind, because you need to understand that there are people that make money off selling these myths and lies about these cryptids and all of that, it's not healthy, it's not ethical, it's not morally just to feed into people's fears and paranoias. And there are so many videos on YouTube where people have done investigations into the Van Meter visitor, where they've claimed to have all these experiences and they've seen it and oh my God and all of that, and it's feeding into a psychosis and it's not healthy. And I'm a scientist, so I have to investigate everything and speak the truth. I'm an occult scientist, so your spiritual development and learning and understanding in that is my responsibility if you're coming to me in order to grow and learn and expand your mind and understand this world a little bit better. So obviously now today, because I've been watching a lot of videos, I've been doing research into places that I want to investigate. I don't think I'm going to be allowed in America anytime soon. But let's see what happens after Donald Trump's removed from office. Maybe America will like me then and let me come in and do my shows, because there's like 4 trillion bajillion places in America alone that I want to investigate, let alone like Canada and Alaska and all that. So, but anyway, I whistle blowing people. I just don't even care. I just don't even care. It's just that I'm a karmic judge, and if I see lies and injustice, especially where it's affecting innocent people and that, I am morally obligated under the contract that I signed with my Heavenly Father to always present myself and my knowledge and my science in an honest and truthful way in order to help people grow. If there are people who were scared of these things or affected by these things, and they swear that they had encounters in that with these cryptid creatures and all of that, then it's going to give them an opportunity to rethink their gullibility, maybe examine their mental health as to why they would so easily fall for these sort of things. But it's not really anyone's fault. It's all part of the military and governmental psychological narrative. It's all in how they've crafted everything in order to control what you think and what you believe. But as someone whose father was in the New Zealand Royal Engineers for over 34 years, I'm a very proud supporter of veterans and military personnel and that. So I also have an understanding and an appreciation of why they would do some of these things, which is why I say in my videos, if they're doing that to keep you away from the area, be respectful of the fact that they're at least being polite about it. They're either keeping you away for good reason, for your own safety and for your own well-being, or they're testing things out, you know. And you need to just respect the fact that sometimes the military has to do things under the cover of darkness, under the cover of perpetuating a myth or creating a folklore in there in order to protect the public while also testing things out. And this is where we get to the Van Meter visitor. I've been doing, looking at places to investigate when I get my co-host and get out of here and make my shows. And I discovered a video. I'll put a link in the description box. I've got a lot of links in my description box for you to check out to do with the Van Meter visitor. It was quite fascinating, actually. I'm very excited. So if I pause, it's only because I'm having a sip of my coffee, like I am right now. Hang on. So the Van Meter visitor, Van Meter, Iowa, was a Dutch settlement, a Dutch town, a mining town as well. Not a large population, but in 1903, a man claims to have seen, like, at first they said 7 foot and then they said 9 foot. Every time the story is told, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, Chinese whispers. But this is the whole point, because you have to understand that what they do when they use psychology to test you and keep you away from things, they play on local myths and legends, especially if there's like indigenous tribes in that involved, in the local area. They'll bring on things like, the legend of the Wendigo and all of that in order to feed into your psychological mind, to scare you, to keep you away so that you don't go looking for these things. They also play on your religious and spiritual aspects as well. Like they'll look at the high density population, the majority religion, and then they'll take things from that as well to play on your faith, your belief in God, your spiritual understanding, and they also play on your ignorance as well, which is why it's always they're never just like, although in one case it was literally a man in a gas mask, and he was like a gajillion feet tall walking around the forest and that of, was it, I haven't looked into it properly yet, it was just something that was a fleeting glance. But anyway, they'll always be like cryptids, or half human, half animal, and all of that, in order to scare the bejesus out of people, so that people will think like it's demonic or evil or threatening or whatever. But with the Van Meter visitor, as like with the Mothman and the Jersey Devil and that, they never do any harm because it's a warning. The werewolves from the other day, from the video I did the other day, they never hurt you because it's a warning. It's for your own good, it's for your own protection. So they will play on your mind in order to keep you away for your own good, and you need to respect that, because it means they're doing things that are either top secret, and that if they got out to like other countries, enemy countries, and that they could steal the experiments, the prototypes, the information, whatever. But it's also as well, usually when it involves things like mines, and that it's also because they don't want the general public coming along these inventions and these trials and tests and that, and getting hurt, or putting stuff out there that they're not ready to released to the public yet. And as I keep saying, with things like drones and microwave ovens and all of that, the military have had access to these things decades before the public even knew they existed. And that's what you're dealing with the Van Meter visitor. it looks like, for all intents and purposes, um, they were testing drones. Now, um, this happened in 1903. The first thing you do, the first thing you need to do, as I keep saying, when you're looking into cryptids and all of that, when you're looking into these sort of experiences involving half human, half animal, or, animal cryptids or whatever, look to where your nearest military base is. And what I found was that, where is it? I'm looking at my notes. 20 miles away from Van Meter, 22 minutes from Van Meter is the Air National Guard. They're situated at the Des Moines International Airport, the 132nd, is it? Wing Division of the Air National Guard, which is like a division of the Air Force. They have been situated there since 1941, but there was also African American Army and Women's Auxiliary history that went on there as far back as 1917. The International Airport itself was built in 1932, but it looks like now Van Meter itself is named after a Dutch settler, and the first drone was the first unmanned drone, because it looks like they were testing out unmanned drones, with the big beaming light. How, remember it says that the big light shines, one big light shines, and it looked like a bat. It honestly sounds like they were testing unmanned drones, and the first unmanned drone was invented in 1849 in Austria. Now, remember as well that Van Meter was named after the first Dutch settler there. So this whole intercontinental thing going on. The British were messing around with these unmanned drones. I'm going to put links in the description box below so that you can look at the history of drones and unmanned drones as well, because they were testing this stuff before World War One, and they were using them to the fullest extent properly by World War Two. So they were dabbling with this technology long before the first sighting of the Van Meter visitor, and it looks like they were testing it out on the people in the town to see how they would react, but also to keep them away from the mines. Now, when they took their posse to go and check where the creature was being seen coming out of the mines, they heard the screeching. They said it stunk like rotting flesh. Now, the interesting thing is that the local mines in Van Meter are used for, like, I think currently at the moment, for mining sand, gravel, and clay. But in the surrounding Des Moines area, they also mined, even way back then, zinc, sulfur, and coal. And people keep reporting saying that the Van Meter visitor smelt like rotting flesh. And one of the components, one of the reasons why rotting flesh smells as bad as what it does is because of hydrogen sulfate. And there were sulfur mines in the area. And you always have to, whenever mines are involved, like with Ziggy Adamski and I can't remember what it was called. The one I did the other day off the Ghost Bridge, the Ghost Highway, just here in my local area, with the things that were seen around by the mines, and I said those mines were nearby. There were zinc, sulfate, and coal mines in the local area of where the Van Meter visitor was spotted. So it says to me that the military were using these mines and their resources and materials, and they're obviously to build their craft and maintain their craft, and obviously the smell they've used the smell to enhance the myth that this is something you need to avoid, because obviously everybody knows, if you're Christian, and Catholic as well, that the devil smells of sulfur. It says when, because obviously he's in the the pits of hell, and they're sulfur mines, right? So, or lakes of sulfur. And so obviously when they were saying he smelt like rotting flesh, I think it's because obviously they've been taking stuff from the sulfur mines. They've let, like the smell has lingered, and they've let people think that it's connected to the devil, because of the smell of sulfur, which also smells like rotting eggs. And my mother always used to say, you always know when the devil comes calling because you smell the sulfur first. So because of the lava, and the lakes of sulfur in hell and all of that. So they've completely played on people's religions and faith and psychological minds, and their obviously lack of understanding of, nobody would have known what the heck a drone was back in those days. It would have seemed like a complete supernatural phenomenon. And when you're dealing with God and Satan and the devil and Jesus, it's supernatural, not paranormal. Paranormal is the lack of understanding of death and the afterlife. Like I say, the paranormal is social and psychological. The supernatural is physics and faith. So when you're talking about devils and gods and demons and Satan and all that, that is the realms of the supernatural, not the paranormal. They're two completely separate fields of science. So, it's I'll put links in the description box below so that you can have a look yourself. But it looks like technology was brought over from Europe, from Austria, and they went down into the mines to build these things and test them out, and to use the resources to help, build their contraptions and machines and all of that. And then when they were ready to test it, just before World War One was about to break out, and eventually World War Two, when the drones got better in design, they tested it out on that poor man in Van Meter, Iowa, and then the myth spread from there. But they would rather have people believe the myth than investigate the truth for their own safety. And as a military brat, my father would 100% say, mind your business. Keep out of it, mind your business. In which, keep out of it, mind your business. It's for your, if they're going to those lengths to only scare you when they could be doing far worse, you need to respect that and just mind your business and keep away. But I think, because there's no more activity in that area, it doesn't look like there's any more military stuff going on there, that the program was shut down and moved after World War Two. I don't know. It looks like all the investigations that people have been doing, it seems to be based on mass hysteria. They think they're having these experiences because they're expecting those experiences, so they manifest those experiences, which is paranormal because it's in your mind, it's in your head. So they've taken a supernatural experience and turned it into a paranormal one because of their lack of understanding of what it is they're dealing with, and it's gotten into their psychological mind, which then turns it paranormal. So then, Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am. I manifest what I create. So if you're going there expecting to have bumps and, screams and sounds and see lights and that, it's exactly what you're going to see. And to a certain extent, the military and that, and, people, generational people whose grandfathers, great grandfathers, blah, 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 who were involved in these projects, a lot of the stuff gets handed down to say, we need you to do this every now and then just to keep people away from, or to keep the myth going, because if it suddenly stopped, people might get curious. and start asking questions, and then people might start looking into things that we don't want them looking into. So that's what it is. That's what it is, unfortunately. Like, it's impractical, it's illogical to think that there are 7 foot, 8 foot, 9 foot bats going around with giant lamps on their head, which should have been a clue to modern people. But yeah, it's illogical. It's impractical. These things didn't exist before the first sightings, and they haven't existed after the hype died down. And that's when you need to question what it is you're willing to believe to be fact or fiction, because it's not healthy to believe that these things are real. If these things were real, um, they would have been reported and throughout history. You'd be finding bones and carcasses that, you'd be finding physical evidence. There would be physical evidence of it, like Charles Darwin and all these botanists and scientists and that went around categorizing every plant and every fish species and every animal and every bird and every blah blah blah, and there's no mention of these things. And that's what you need to, and they've been doing it for centuries, like the Greeks were doing it and all of that as well. So were the Egyptians and that too. So you have to say to yourself, well, if these things weren't around then, how did they suddenly turn up now? So you have to, your subconscious mind, your psychological mind, you must always go to logic, doubt, reason, and compromise before you even go down the lines of supernatural and paranormal. It's for your own, it's for the sake of your own mental health that I'm doing this. I'm not being mean and trying to burst anyone's bubble. I'm trying to protect you from believing in things that can cause you damage. You're scaring yourself for nothing. So when I get my co-host and I get justice and I get my money and I get out of here and I get to make my Eye in the Sky shows, I'll go to these places and I will point them out and I'll explain it all. I will have, sheets of paper and maps, and I will point everything out like an instructor, like a teacher. I will even do experiments, like actual scientific experiments using chemistry and all of that, in order to show you in front of the camera what it is you're dealing with. So I'll be fun, I'll be educational, I'll be honest, and I'll be truthful, but it'll be entertaining. But you have to understand, there are going to be times where I will genuinely be stumbling into something that is genuinely supernatural, that is genuinely paranormal, that is genuinely going to be spooky and scary. So that's going to be the whole fun of it, not knowing what it is we're walking into until I'm able to investigate it. Which is why my co-host, my future co-host, he has to know how to work drones. I can't work anything with a remote. I can't work controllers or buttons or technology. I'd crash it into things. So, I mean, I'll give it a go. It might be fun, but I would prefer it if my co-host knew how to work these sort of things, because I don't want to have to keep buying drones because I'd keep crashing them or losing them or whatever. So yeah, so he's going to have to be someone who can work a drone, not just for to show you areas and all of that, but also to check out whether areas that we're about to walk into are safe. I know that places like it also helps me figure out where to put my tane clay as well when I'm doing cleansings and that, to send the drone up first. Like with Fountains Abbey, there were places there where I wanted to put my tane clay, but I couldn't. I put them in some places, and the whole investigation is on my Instagram because I did it with my sons. We went to Fountains Abbey, and I put my tane clay and all of that there, and using a drone, there are a lot of places that weren't safe to go into physically where I would be wanting to put the clay, so we can send the drone in to have a look, so I'd know exactly what to do and where to put it. And then I want to have, I'd actually just bought myself like a little wooden crossbow to put my tane clay in, my tane clay balls in, to fire up onto the ledges of places like Fountains Abbey up the top, that were derelict and all of that, and crumbling, and that would be unsafe to climb. And because, of course, being a grade listed National Trust site, you can't go climbing ancient forts and castles and churches and that. So if we send the drone up, and then I'll know exactly where to fire off my slingshot, I'll know where to put the clay in that in order to cleanse the area and raise the vibration and cross anything over that is there. And there will be times where things are going to happen that I might not be able to explain, or where things are going to happen that will be genuine trap spirits, or genuine occult stuff that needs to be taken seriously, that it will scare the bejesus out of even people like me. I don't know what to expect, especially when I go to foreign countries. I know what I'm dealing with pretty much in most Commonwealth countries, but when I go to places like Central and South America, for example, I'm going to be dealing with things that I'm going to have to learn about once I get there. But until I investigate them, even I might get scared. So that's going to be the whole fun of the show, really, is not knowing what we're walking into, and then figuring out what it is we're dealing with after I get to investigate. So, yeah, the Van Meter visitor. I'll put all the links in the description box below. I hope I didn't disappoint anyone, but it's better to be hurt by the truth than devastated by a lie. I'm going to go and finish my coffee now and have my breakfast because I am starving. I have been doing a lot of work with God at the moment, which has absolutely... I've been like my own little blooming thunderstorm going around, like my bolts of lightning going down, striking people with karma for all their nonsense in the name of the Lord. So yeah, people have started realizing I'm absolutely not anyone they should be messing with. So I'll put links in the description box below. Have a beautiful day, hold your head up high, and know that you are loved. Ka kite anō. Mwah.